Taiwan's assessment that warning time for a potential Chinese attack is shrinking represents one of the most significant strategic developments in the Indo-Pacific. More than a military observation, it reflects a profound shift in the character of deterrence and crisis management across the Taiwan Strait. As China's military capabilities continue to expand and its operations around Taiwan become increasingly routine, the distinction between peacetime coercion and wartime action is becoming dangerously blurred. This evolving reality is reshaping military planning, alliance dynamics, and the broader balance of power in East Asia. Taiwan's latest immediate combat readiness drills highlight this new strategic environment. For decades, military planners assumed that major conflicts would be preceded by lengthy warning periods, allowing governments to mobilize forces, consult allies, and prepare defensive operations. That assumption is increasingly being challenged. Chinese military aircraft and naval vessels now operate around Taiwan almost daily. Large-scale exercises, maritime patrols, and missile drills have become normalized. As a result, Taipei fears that Beijing could rapidly transform a routine military exercise into a real attack with little or no strategic warning. This concern reflects broader changes in Chinese military doctrine. The People's Liberation Army has spent years modernizing its forces with an emphasis on speed, precision, joint operations, and information dominance. Beijing's objective is not simply to defeat Taiwan militarily, but to create conditions in which Taiwan, and potentially its international partners, are unable to respond effectively before key objectives are achieved. By compressing decision-making timelines, China seeks to generate strategic surprise and complicate Allied intervention. The implications extend well beyond Taiwan itself. The Taiwan Strait has become the central fault line in US-China strategic competition. Washington increasingly views the defense of Taiwan as essential to maintaining the credibility of the US alliance network and preserving the regional balance of power. The loss of Taiwan to coercion or force would fundamentally alter the strategic geography of the Western Pacific, potentially enabling China to project military power beyond the First Island chain and challenge US maritime dominance across the broader Indo-Pacific. Geography remains central to this competition. Taiwan occupies a pivotal position within the First Island chain, stretching from Japan through Taiwan to the Philippines. Control over Taiwan would significantly influence access to critical sea lanes, military operating areas, and maritime choke points. For the United States and its regional allies, maintaining the status quo across the Taiwan Strait is therefore not merely a political objective but a strategic necessity. This explains why US officials increasingly emphasize deterrence and stress the importance of preventing any unilateral change to the status quo by force. Taiwan's ongoing military modernization should be viewed in this context. President Lai Ching-te's push to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP and accelerate force transformation reflects recognition that Taiwan must become more resilient and capable of responding immediately to crises. The acquisition of systems such as HIMARS rocket launchers, expanded reserve training, and reforms emphasizing rapid mobilization all align with an asymmetric defense strategy designed to impose high costs on any potential invasion. Alliance dynamics are also evolving. Although the United States maintains a policy of strategic ambiguity regarding Taiwan, practical military cooperation between Washington and Taipei continues to deepen. At the same time, regional allies such as Japan and the Philippines increasingly view Taiwan's security as directly linked to their own national interests. Recent trilateral exercises, expanded missile deployments along the First Island chain, and greater interoperability among allied forces indicate the emergence of a more integrated regional security architecture aimed at strengthening deterrence. However, stronger deterrence does not necessarily guarantee stability. The shrinking warning time described by Taiwanese officials creates significant risks of miscalculation. In a crisis, military exercises, routine patrols, or coercive demonstrations could be misinterpreted as preparations for an actual attack. Shorter decision windows increase pressure on political leaders and military commanders, raising the possibility of unintended escalation. In strategic terms, the Indo-Pacific may be entering an era of persistent crisis, where tensions remain constantly elevated even in the absence of open conflict. China's refusal to renounce the use of force further intensifies this uncertainty. Beijing continues to insist that reunification remains inevitable, and reserves all options to prevent Taiwanese independence. Simultaneously, Chinese leaders emphasize peaceful reunification while expanding military pressure on the island. This dual-track strategy combines coercion, deterrence, and political signaling, seeking to shape Taiwan's choices without necessarily triggering immediate conflict. From a balance of power perspective, the key question is whether deterrence can remain credible as China's capabilities continue to grow. The United States and its allies are increasingly investing in distributed military networks, long-range missile systems, maritime denial capabilities, and enhanced regional interoperability. These measures aim to convince Beijing that the costs of military action would outweigh any potential gains.